One of the questions that almost everybody has when they come in to see me, an estate planning attorney or an elder law attorney, is, do I need a will or a trust? So that's one of the things that we're going to be talking about today. Hi, I'm Nicole Whipp, and I'm the lead attorney and the founder of the Family and Aging Law Center. We're located in Southeast Michigan. Just to make sure that you understand that anything that I say in this video is not intended to be legal advice. It is for informational purposes only. And that if you do have specific questions, that it's always smart to consult with a qualified attorney. All right, so let's get started about, do I need a will or a trust? Because that's a great question. The biggest problem that almost everybody has is knowing the law. And the next problem is that you think you know. And why do people think that they know the law even when they don't? Well, I mean, especially when it comes to wills and trusts, it's just such a common thing that people talk about offhandedly. You know, you might talk about it with your neighbor, like, oh, I just went and got my will. Or, you know, somebody will say to you, you know, you need to really get a will. Or maybe somebody will say, you know, you really should have a trust instead of a will. And, you know, some people will say, I don't need any of that junk. You know, who needs any of that stuff? And there's a lot of people that won't even talk about it. But there's a lot of information. A lot of people talk about it. You know, you might be having coffee with your friends or talking to your neighbors or, you know, even with family members. And then what happens as a result of that is then you get in your head when somebody says to you, you need to get a will. You're like, oh yeah, well, maybe I need a will. But you don't know the law. And then this is where the problems happen. So that's really what this video is about, is understanding how wills and trusts work. And then when you understand how they work, then you can understand how it applies to you and your family. And then maybe you'll make a decision about what you might want to do in relation to that. Okay, so wills. First of all, the most important thing to know about a will is that a will names who gets your stuff. And when I say stuff, that's really my very technical term for things like your house, your car, your bank accounts, your, you know, whatever you have, your stuff. A will also names who's in charge. And depending on the state in which you live, that can be very different. For example, we tend to think of that person as an executor. That's a phrase that we hear a lot, and it's a common phrase that people use, an executor. But the executor is known as a personal representative, say in Michigan, which is where I practice law. So in Michigan, if somebody said, oh, you have a personal representative, it just means the same thing as executor. And you may have a different name for that in your state if you're not watching from Michigan. But the thing is about wills, and we really want to understand this, is that a will must go through probate. And that is probably one of the most misunderstood things about wills. So often when people talk about wills, they have this idea that they need a will so that they can avoid probate. But the reality of a matter is that wills are what I always tell people is your ticket into probate court. A will is a legal document that inherently was intended to go through probate. And so this idea that you need a will to avoid probate is a very wrong idea. And like I said, probably 80 to 90% of the people that come through my office or that I do presentations in front of, that's what they believe. So now you know the difference. It's not true.